Hey everybody, welcome to another Punk Perspectives. Today I got one from one of my favorite bands. We'll be doing the song Dead Men Can't Catcall. And we got no other than Dominic from Tsunami Bomb. Hey, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It means a lot to hear you love the band. I thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. One of the big bands that, I think I found you guys through the 2002 like Warped Tour compilation. Um,
Right on.
some of those albums like were
Take
real
the
formative
reins.
for me.
Wasn't that
What?
Take the Reins? I think that was Take the Reins.
It was the one that was right before Take the. It was Not Forever.
Oh,
Had it was from Kung Fu Records, if I remember.
right.
I think that one,
Okay.
but maybe Take the Reins was the one after. There was Take the Reins after, but
Oh,
one
okay.
before it was Not Forever.
Oh, it was not forever. Okay. I kind of forgot about that one. Yeah. Okay. Right on.
um,
Yeah. Comps were those comps were so great. Like, I don't know. I miss I feel bad for bands now that comps don't have that impact because it was really fun how sometimes it would be the most random comp would just catch and everybody, there was a comp called Punk Rock Strike, and we put Lemonade on it. And that is the reason that song means anything to anybody because that dude sold them on the Warp Tour every day for $1. And we would go to towns and they would know that song. And we're like, what the hell? We've never been here. So,
yeah,
I miss those kind of comps. So it's cool to hear that you found out about us from the Warp Tour one. So that's awesome.
yeah, man. The Lemonade was also one of the ones for sure that got me in as well. Because those comps were awesome. Because like you said, I wouldn't have much money. I was like a teenage kid or whatever, so you could buy them for pretty inexpensive, and you just have this, plethora of bands to get to listen to. And then when I go to the Warp Tour, you guys were like, I think always on the Warp Tour ticket, pretty much, right? Like those early 2000 years, pretty much.
There was a block of time where we would do like at first it was like they invited us on for like a week and that was a huge deal. We were so excited. And then it was like 2 weeks and then it was like the whole tour and so like there was a block of a couple years where we were like one of their staples. So it was really cool. I mean, it was like joining the circus. It was so like the first year we did it was so intimidating.
I could only
I
imagine,
had
right?
no idea what was going on. It was insane. Like I literally like showed up to check in the first day, first tour, first warp tour for Tsunami Bomb ever. I have no idea what I'm doing. We pull in, I just need to find the main office. And they're like, "Oh, it's right over there." And I'm like, "Okay." And I walk over and I'm just standing there waiting in line. And this dude comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing? You doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "First time? You look like it's your first time." I was like, "It's totally my first time." And he's like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. It's super fun. Everybody's super chill. It's really cool. You're gonna have a good time." They'll totally help you. They're good people. The whole thing is a good thing. I was like, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate that." You play on it? And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, I do. I play in one of the bands." And then he's like, right then, uh, Lars Fredrickson comes running down the hall, and I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Hey Tim, let's go. We gotta go." And he's like, "Okay, dude, it was nice meeting you. Take care." And I was like, "Did I just talk to Tim Armstrong?" I was so nervous, I didn't realize it was Tim Armstrong. I was just like,
Holy
and he was
shit.
just being nice to a dude that was just like obviously looking like I don't know what I'm doing. And he was super
Total.
cool about it. I got to know him more later, but like, yeah, I was so nervous I didn't realize I was talking to Tim Armstrong.
Oh
So
man, I bet that's
that's
one of
Warped
my
Tour.
heroes, dude. So I mean, that must have been a trip too, because well, let me ask you this too. Did you kind of like start playing punk music because you like punk, right? Or did you kind of did punk rock find you? I guess how did that come about, you starting?
Well, I grew up in a town in north of San Francisco called Petaluma, and it's about an hour north, and it's in Sonoma County, and it's kind of like the woods. It's not, it's kind of where the rolling field farms meet woods, and like you're starting to get up to the touristy area, and it's near the coast, and it's a really beautiful place. Um, and there wasn't much to do. I mean, but we had this theater in town called the Phoenix Theater. It was this old opera house vaudeville theater, and a guy by the name of Tom Gaffey, who still runs it to this day, was basically just like he took it over and he for him when he was a kid it was a movie theater, but for others to make help make money, and because he couldn't get the first run movies by that time, he had opened it up to the kids of the town to use as a place to play shows and put on shows. And that's really where it kind of blew up. So we got this really amazing venue, and I was just going to shows all the time, and there were all sorts of bands playing. There was punk bands, there were metal, ska, funk during that time. It was really big in the underground. Like it's weird, but like late '80s, early '90s was really big for like the funk scene.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Mr. Bungle kind of influence, and Primus, kind of that like that little aspect had really hit because Primus was from that area too.
Mm.
Um, and I was just exposed to all of these bands, and it was a really cool scene to be a part of. Because by the time I eventually decided I wanted to do a band and that I was going to learn bass and I was going to become a bass player and I was going to start a band, there was like always this push to try and be as creative as possible, because there were so many different kinds of bands. And everybody was trying to do something that was distinctly different. That was kind of like what sets you apart. And so there really wasn't like one band I was trying to copy. So I wasn't even at when I started Tsunami Bomb. I wasn't even really. I mean, of course, I was considering the punk scene, but I wasn't considering. I wasn't trying to be a punk band.
Yeah.
Jello told me that once. Jello Biafra said that to me. He goes, the Dead Kennedys wasn't trying to be a punk band. We were just trying to be a good band. And I was like, that's funny you say that because that's how I feel Tsunami Bomb started. I wasn't thinking like, how can I be a great punk rock band? I was like, no, I just want to make a really cool band all my friends will like, and I can play these shows with as many different kinds of bands as possible that are playing this venue. I wanted it to mix everything. I mean, we were thinking when we started, we were thinking Skank and Pickle, like the ska sounds of Skank and Pickle, Oingo Boingo, the driving new wave, dark
Yeah.
pop of Oingo Boingo. We were thinking, I loved White Zombie and their imagery, and I wanted driving stuff, like that. I loved Op Ivy. I loved Green Day, who had, both come from that area. I loved Rancid. I don't know
Hmm.
why I didn't recognize him when I met him first, but like, there was all these things that we were trying to cram into this band so that it could be the thing we wanted to be and it could set it apart from everything. And so when we started, it was definitely like it was kind of all over the place, and it wasn't, but we were doing a lot of like dark spooky stuff. We knew we wanted that. We knew we wanted kind of the ska aspect without being a ska band. We wanted to be able to play with ska bands though. So there's a lot of it in its DNA, but I don't think it wasn't until, and we were kind of punk because we were just weird group of kids that had gotten together and made this crazy little beast. And then it wasn't until we met Hunter, and I had seen AFI a whole bunch, but Hunter Bergen, the bassist of AFI, ended up putting out our second 7 inch. We did a first split on our own, and
Mm.
because he's like, you guys are just this dark, crazy, piratey, punky sound that you have. He goes, I like it. And then we we got to know AFI during that time, and we went to a bunch of their shows, and that was like AFI was just getting ready to do uh, Black Sails, and
Oh, love it.
they were incredible. I mean, it was just absolutely unbelievable. The show, the energy, the performance, it was everything you could possibly want to be. And I think that kind of shaped us to finally dial in as a punk band in that identity where we wanted it to be harder and heavier. But I think one of the keys of Tsunami Bomb was that it's never really fit in anywhere, on any particular label sound. It doesn't fit in on Alternative Tentacles at all. I'm shocked Alternative Tentacles put it out, that Jello did put it out. But I mean, he says the one thing I'll say about Tsunami Bomb is that Tsunami Bomb doesn't really sound like other bands. Other bands sound like Tsunami Bomb, which is the highest compliment that I could hear from another musician. But yeah, so it's just this quirky, weird bunch of punk, new wave, ska, pop kids hanging out that wanted to do something really weird. The intention was always in the beginning. And I feel like we've lost our way a few times, but largely our attempt was always to kind of make something unique and interesting and memorable and timeless. You know, and everything works. We get songs that people, I think, you know, in when I'm most successful at songwriting, it's the songs that carry over so that somebody now could hear a song I wrote in 1998 and be like, I love this song, or somebody could hear one, or that the songs from, you know, the early times can fit with the song now, and it still seems like this doesn't this isn't chasing a scene, this isn't chasing a moment or sound, you know, it's in this moment. And I try to apply that to my songwriting with everything I do. But yeah, that's kind of it. Tsunami Bomb is this rickety, I mean, I do believe that Tsunami Bomb is a punk band. I think it's always had the punk ethos in it. It was a
Mhm.
DIY punk rock venue that gave birth to it, and I was inspired to start that band after watching White Trash Debutantes when they performed at the Showcase Theater in Corona 100 years ago when one of my bands opened for them. So it's like it's definitely always had that, but it was never trying to be a punk band. I didn't hear a punk band. I never thought like I want to be Rancid. I want to be Green Day. And so anyone listening to this thinking about starting a punk band, go for it. Start a punk band. But listen to everything you can and see how you can make it different. What are you going to do different? That's so
Yeah.
important, and not enough people do that. And, you know, it's a big
And
thing
I
for
think
Jello.
that's one reason why your band really stood out to me. Like I said, when I get those comps, a lot of times you kind of would, hear it, it's ska song, whatever. And then when the Tsunami Bomb song would hit, you could really tell you guys just had a little something different from the, female vocalist from one, and then two, just that I kind of called it Halloween kind of sound with
Mm-hmm.
those metal. It's hard to describe. And that's why it's hard to describe. Your band just it's very honest, but very fun, but meaningful, if that makes sense, to where it stood out for sure, man. That's why your band kicks ass.
Thanks. That means a lot to, hearing it from you, because I mean, I've seen in your show, you've talked to a lot of musicians, a lot of songwriters, but like, so you obviously have a very wide range of music you like. I appreciate that we're one of them. That was always the attempt to make it. And then there's nothing wrong if somebody listening is like, I'm a ska band, or I'm this, you know, you can be whatever you want. I
Mhm.
just always, at least for me, and what I advised anybody else, it's like, you know, listen to everything, pull everything. The more things that you borrow from, the more weird and interesting your mix is going to be, you know, because I think, you know, I never wanted, the goal was never to be, I want a band like that. It was like, no, I want bands like this. You know, I wanted everything I can pull in and everything that I can do, to make this something I could be proud of and I could stand with these other bands, but I don't want to sound like it, you know.
Yeah,
So that's always been the goal. So it's great when to hear that it comes across.
that makes sense, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about, I talk about one song an episode, so but I
Okay.
did want to kind of talk about, I guess, a little bit how this album started. Like you even said, you're on alternative tentacles. Because there's a hiatus with Tsunami Bomb,
Yeah,
and
a 10-year dirt nap that we took. Yes.
yeah, and then it jumps in, and the Spine That Bends was the album that kind of that was the first album back. Am I getting that right or wrong on
Yeah,
that?
the Spine That Binds was the album that we
Yeah,
did coming back.
yeah. And so I guess well, and this is rumor mill, so I want to see if it's how it checks out. That when I read online, it says that you guys are sending demos out, and you sent it to Alternative Tentacles, and unsure if Jello, because that's like Jello's baby, that record album label, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so were you guys nervous that he was gonna? I guess not nervous, but tell me about that. How did that go to giving it to that label, and how did that whole little process work? And did you send the whole CD as a demo, or do you remember what songs were on that demo? I'm so curious.
You know, that's a good point. So we had come back together under a weird circumstance. Just to clarify why, as like we had a bunch of material, like Kung Fu Records had told us that like our stuff was still selling, and they were like, we would love to put out your old stuff, like the 7 inches we could, and the EP you had done, we'd like to release that. And so I went about like collecting that material, which ended up becoming Trust No One, um, because they only wanted to do like one release for all these different things. And
Mm,
that had led us to wanting to perform again. And, we came to realize that Emily didn't want to do it again. And we were like, well, maybe we shouldn't do this. We went back and forth. And then we decided, okay, we'll just do a couple shows. And maybe we can find a friend in a band that we knew back then. We can sing like some of their songs, some of our songs. We can do kind of a cool, you know, collection of and just bring attention to this release, and uh, after all this time, and then as it happened, like Emily just made it clear she did not want to come back under any circumstances. She kind of felt like if she came back, she felt like she would be trapped in this Tsunami Bomb. She was really invested in her new project. So we ended up finding, after all came down, we found this friend of a guitarist one of the guitarists we had, who we reformed with, one of our early guitarists, Brian Plink, Kate Jacoby, and she had a great voice. This is her first band ever. I don't know what possessed us to try that with her, but like she did a great job, and we had fun, and people liked it. The shows weren't really over. We didn't try to lie to anybody, and then all of a sudden we found ourselves going forward. We kept getting asked to do stuff. Warped Tour asked us to do some dates. We just kept, and it was so much fun, and it felt like we were so different than everything else out there, and it didn't seem like anybody was doing what we were doing. So we
mhm.
decided to write this album, and it was challenging at first because we had to try and consider, like, for me, I felt like we had to both, because we had a new singer and we were doing an album as Tsunami Bomb, I felt like it was really important for us to take as many we had to take as much of our past as possible and put it in the DNA of the songs on this album. And that included the album I wasn't on, that, like that happened while I was gone, the Definitive Act. So I had to, really listen, and I had listened to it before, but I had to absorb it because I really wanted to make sure that The Spine That Binds sounded as much like it fit in a row with where we were going. I mean, we had changed singers on everybody. That's weird. That's a weird thing to do. I don't recommend people doing that. But we wanted to be Tsunami Bomb. Everybody voted to be Tsunami Bomb. Our friends and people were like, this feels like Tsunami Bomb. So we moved forward. But we wanted to, so I really wanted to consider all of the elements of the Definitive Act along with the other things, and yet take all that and move it forward. And I had hoped that we would be able to find a place to put out that record, but Tsunami Mom has always had a hard time getting on record labels. Like nobody wanted it. Everybody said no back in the day. Like if you
Yeah.
think of a punk rock label that was around in the early 2000s, they said no. Like they heard us and passed. I mean, to Fat Records telling me that they thought our name sucked, straight up for real.
I mean, if you're asking me the best name for a punk band, it's probably got to be something just sick as fuck, like Tsunami Bomb.
Band? It's gotta be Tsunami Bomb.
I just wanted to say the best fucking name for a punk band is Tsunami Bomb.
Oh, Tsunami Bomb.
Name has got to be Tsunami Bomb.
The best punk band name ever? I think it's Tsunami Bomb. What do you think?
Tsunami Bomb is the bomb.
That's gotta be Tsunami Bomb.
Best punk band name? That's gotta be Tsunami Bomb.
Tsunami Bomb is in fact the best name ever.
Oh, Tsunami Bomb, obviously.
Best name ever, Tsunami Bomb.
The best punk name, gotta be Tsunami Bomb.
Gotta be Tsunami Bomb.
It has to be Tsunami Bomb.
Tsunami Bomb is the coolest band name ever.
Tsunami Bomb é a banda mais legal de todos os tempos.
Самая лучшая группа Tsunami Bomb.
La mejor banda en todo el mundo tiene que ser Tsunami Bomb.
Tsunami Bomb is cool band name ever. Tsunami Bomb is the coolest name ever.
They apologized for that later. Epitaph
This is one of the
said-
greatest names ever. That's a catchy name. It's freaking bad. And whenever I hear the word tsunami now, I think it's Tsunami Bomb. But anyhow,
Thank you.
never here or there.
It was funny at the time. I remember I was on the phone with them, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't really like the name." And then I said it without thinking, and this is no offense to them, but I was like, "Dude, you put out a band called Dog Piss, and our name isn't good as Dog Piss. That's why you don't want to put it out." Yeah. So, and then like Epitaph at the time, and apparently I've been told by some people that this turned into a fight internally, but somebody told us, "Sorry, we don't sign girl bands." And I was
Ooh.
like, "What about Distillers?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's Tim's thing." And I was like, "Okay." And I mean, like some of the people involved during that time apologized and told me how much they didn't like that.
Didn't L7 start on Epitaph? But I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it was more like, yeah, but I think it was more exceptions rather than the rule for them, and there was a prevailing belief that female fronted bands didn't sell merch or didn't move records. And so just nobody wanted us. And I pitched every punk label at the time. And the only reason Kung Fu went for us was that we had some shows with the Vandals, and they asked us to do a run with them, and it happened to be through the Southwest, which we had toured a bunch on our own. And so
Okay.
when we got a tour with them, we knew it was going to be big, so we bought a whole bunch of new merch that we'd never had before, because we're coming through with Vandals. We're going to see a lot more people, and I think we had a CD. We had the Ultimate Escape with us. Not the Ultimate Escape, excuse me. We had the Invasion from Within, and I don't think we had it. It was kind of newish, and so we brought it with us, and they watched these shows go off because we knew everybody. We knew the scene in Phoenix. We'd played there a bunch. We knew, San Antonio. We'd gone to Albuquerque, like so Vegas, and they were like, "Oh my God, this band is killing it." If they'd have brought us anywhere else, nobody would have known us. But because they brought us to this area that we had toured on our own a whole bunch,
Yeah.
each night we like sold a ton of stuff, and we had people go off, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do something on Kung Fu?" And because Joe told me later, he's like, "I hadn't seen a reaction to a female fronted band like that since No Doubt," and so he's like, "I just thought it was great." So that was really great. But by that time, Kung Fu really wasn't putting out new records anymore. And in fact, they were working with Cleopatra Records. So a lot of the people with Kung Fu weren't involved with the decision making of Kung Fu Records.
Okay.
And so I started sending it out to everybody, the demos. And I don't remember exactly what was on there. It was probably, like half the record of demos. It would probably been, I mean, I could look at it, but it was probably a title. I would see, I bet Lullaby was on there. I think not. Yeah, it would probably be like 5 songs. I should bring up the song track list before this to be able to
Yeah.
to do it. But it was like, but it was definitely like I was sending it to everybody, and it was exactly what happened again. And I think what it was is the new singer, because they were just like, well, it's Tsunami Bomb, but is it Tsunami Bomb? I don't know if I want to take a risk at this. Like certain people just didn't even respond to me, and I was like, wow, again. I was like, Tsunami Bomb just can't catch a break. Like,
Dude.
uh, it was so funny because nobody wanted it. Nobody was giving it. So yeah, I think it would have been, looking at the track list now, Title, I think Naysayers would have been on there. I'm pretty sure Sinkhole would have been on there. Dead Men Can't Catcall might have been. Lullaby would have been. and maybe like it might have been like Last Call or Wake the Dead, something like that. So it was like half of it,
Okay.
and yeah, nobody was going for it, and like even people I knew who would like say hi to me all the time, like that worked at labels, and be like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Dominic," no response, like just not even, not a no, not a anything, silence. And I was like, God
Jeez.
damn. Um, but during this time, I also worked at Kung Fu. I worked at I had worked at Kung Fu Records doing marketing and graphic design, helping. They had lost a hard drive of all the art from all their albums, so I was recreating the artwork exactly how it used to be for all the albums, so they could repress a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's a
And
task.
yeah, it was cool. It's how I got my name on a bunch of really cool records. Like all the early Vandal stuff that's out now has my name on it because I reconstructed the entire thing. So they had these files again. And then like I had to rebuild the Vandals logo, like just things like that. Like they just didn't have anything anymore. It was
That'd be
gone.
awesome though too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to do. It was really cool. That, but then when they when the ownership shifted and everything with Kung Fu shifted, uh, I ended up working with Alternative Tentacles, and I met Jello, and I initially started doing their publicity and marketing, but in about 2017, long after this, a couple years after this, I would come back and I would leave and then come back and become the general manager for a while. And then
Wow.
I stepped down from that, and now I'm the publicist again. So when they asked me to come back and help out, but I was working there, but working there is no guarantee that AT is going to put out anything you do. It's not like kind of label, and in fact, they don't even like it when I don't think they love it very much when the staff has bands, but it's kind of an unavoidable thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not a thing that people do. And I had sent it to all these labels, but not to Alternative Tentacles because I just didn't see Tsunami Bomb being an alternative tentacles band. There's not really a sound to Alternative Tentacles, except it's more of a collection of what Jello finds. Jello has a policy. His approach is it's like if we wouldn't put this out, who else would? And he always wants things very distinctive. That's kind of where that comment I said earlier about his approach. Like he doesn't want to put out a band. If you sound exactly like a band, that he's not going for that. He's like, especially since a lot of people who send in demos, God bless them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he hears it and he goes, "This sounds exactly like my friend's band," it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you an art a band might be going, "Oh, I want to be Ranted, I want to be No Means No," and he's like, I know them and they're my friends. And if you sound like them, why we already have them, So he's like, that's where he feels like, listen to everything, pull more things in.
Yeah.
Um, but there's no style to AT, which is, it's unlike Fat or Epitaph. It doesn't curate a bunch of bands. It's all crazy and all over the place, which makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a little tough to market it together because everything is crazy. Like this last year, we're putting out DFMK, which is a rock and roll punk rock record from Tijuana, Mexico. But we also out an Exotica 7-inch from Voodoo 5, which we've never done before, and which has a cover of Dead Kennedy's Moon Over Marin on it, which is like something you hear in a tiki bar. Um, it's just everything. So, but I
Yeah.
didn't see Tsunami Bomb on it because he's really like, because Fat Records went so hard in the pop punk, he really tried. You have to. He doesn't really want pop punk bands on AT. But he got wind that I was sending demos out, and he was like, "Hey, you've been sending demos out for Tsunami Bomb?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why haven't you given me any of the demos?" I was like, "Well, I wouldn't think you'd like it." And he's like, "Why? Why wouldn't I like it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I mean, you don't like pop punk stuff." And he's like, "Oh, are you pop punk? Are you boring ass pop punk?" He's like, "I put out, he's like, are you boring? Do you sound like everybody else?" And I was like, "Well, no, I don't think so." But he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I put out Pansy Division." He's like, "I put out pop stuff, but it just has to be good. You guys are good." He had discovered our 7-inch that Hunter put out years ago, and I guess he really loved it. Mayhem on the High Seas, and then he went to check us out, and he saw we were headlining this club that used to be in San Francisco called Slim's, and it's a pretty big club. And he was like, "Oh, they're already headlining that. They're too big for us." And I was like, "Well, I wish you would have fucking said something because nobody else was going for it." Like, um, but it was another case, kind of like Kung Fu, where he he was like it was somebody I was, you know, interacting with, and they got to see it up close, you know, whereas
Yeah.
anybody who was getting submitted, I assume it was because of the new singer that people were being hesitant. I don't know if it was the material that stopped him, but I was getting ready to put it out myself. But then he listened to it and he was like, "Give it to me. I want to hear it." And he was kind of mad about it. And then he took it and he came back and he's like, "I really fucking liked it." And I was like, "Good." He's like, "Yeah, I'll fucking put it out." And I was like, "Okay." So it was like, I think he did it because I told him he wouldn't like it. He was like, "No, I don't like it." But he said, "No." He's like, "No, it's not that hard. You guys don't sound like anybody else.
Yeah.
You're your own thing." I mean, yeah, he goes, there's things you do I wish you didn't. He goes, "You lean into pop stuff a little too much for my take. I'd like you to go more darker and more heavier," which I kind of want to do with Tsunami Bomb now anyway. But and he even said, he's like, "It's weird. I think a lot of these songs feel like the Definitive Act, which is the album you weren't on and you didn't work on." And I was like, "Well, that's kind of intentional." And he was like, "Yeah, okay, I get it." And he goes, I do like it. I feel like it's distinctive. Um, it ended up being a lot more mid tempo than I meant it to be. I meant it to be a heavier record, and somehow it found its way to mid tempo anthemic. But which I don't mind. But I thought I thought we had more variation when we finally recorded it. It was like it wasn't as aggressive as I envisioned it, which is a
Mm,
sign of things changing. You know how much they change by the time they get to a
the
final
final
version.
product. Yeah.
But yeah, he surprised the fuck out of me with that. I'm sorry for swearing. He surprised the hell out of me for that because I just didn't expect him to like it all, and he did. And yeah, I think he really would like to kind of produce Tsunami Bomb. He'd like to get in there and work with us, which I think actually would be interesting. He definitely is a walking musical library, but
Yeah.
it meant a lot. It was kind of like the same situation when you said how much you liked Tsunami Bomb. I was just sort of shocked how much he liked it and how much he got it. He understood. Though he did say something one time. He goes, "Yeah, when the album finally came out, he was like, yeah, I don't know. Tsunami Bomb sounds kind of like Pat Benatar fronting TSOL with keyboards." And I was like, "That sounds awesome." He goes, "That wasn't a compliment." And I was like, "I'd buy that record. I'd buy Pat Benatar performing with TSOL. She's got a sick ass voice."
Yeah.
It was so he's quirky and he bags on even the things that he likes, but it's because he's such a music fan. But yeah, he shocked me. And to be honest, working at AT was actually counted against me, but luckily he wanted to hear it and he had remembered it from before. And he's been really supportive and it's great. He's on my ass right now for us to get a new record out, so I want to.
That is a cool story, man. That is awesome. And it
Huh.
makes sense now too when you say it to like why it actually makes sense. It does fit um on AT. And I'm
Because
also
it doesn't
now
at first. When you think about it, it doesn't, because it's like that's not really kind of the zone of AT. And I do feel like Tsunami Bomb is sort of a weird fit there. I think some of the long time AT fans don't always get Tsunami Bomb, but some people do. So it's
yeah.
done well. The record sold is done really well there. So
Yeah, and like you said, I think now that kind of how it goes through, it makes sense, and I like that. Yeah, it's well, that's an awesome story too. And I'm also picturing Pat Benatar now singing Code Blue, what that would sound like.
right,
But
right, yeah, we ended up covering Code Blue because of that.
really,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
oh
That
yeah,
would be
we have.
really cool to hear too. Um, yeah, yeah. You guys been doing some covers too, didn't you guys? You spoke about Oingo Boingo earlier. Didn't you guys do a cover of theirs?
Yeah, we finally did.
Yeah.
We've always had a hard time picking out covers. Everybody always has different opinions, and then we didn't. But then we kind of set about trying to cover a couple songs. So, and we did. Some of them I like a lot. Some of them I think we did okay. And we have some more covers coming out. But yeah, like we did. Like we finally got to do Dead Man's Party for a Halloween comp, and
Mhm.
then it came out on a 7-inch that Kung Fu Cleopatra put out.
Okay.
So we try to keep a good relationship with Cleopatra, and because they kind of run Kung Fu now, and so yeah, and then we've covered like we have a cover coming out of Walk-in Syndrome from Fugazi. We did that, and that's going to come out on a 7-inch, a split 7-inch, I think. So we do covers from time to time. Like it's fun, but yeah, Oingo Boingo was a fun one to be able to finally do because
that's awesome too, man.
That was
all right, now let me dive into the song.
Okay.
Which this caught me off guard too. So I'm gonna have to ask you a couple iotas right off bat with your creative process. So when I first heard this album, I was so happy. It was refreshing. A new Tsunami Bomb in like what was it, 10 whatever year? It felt like long time. And this song comes out, and it was exactly what I think I needed at the time. Real refreshing to hear. And then this song I really like too because it has that kind of beginning. I think it's like the bass sound, the Halloween kind of feel into it, and then you go into it with the chill. So I'm going to read the lyrics to you at one point. But what threw me off was you actually do a lot of the lyric writing and stuff, which I would have thought with the title that this song.
I actually don't. That's actually also I try not to. So Emily, when she was in the band, did a lot of the lyric writing. Though occasionally I did do lyrics. Like I wrote the lyrics with the first singer of Tsunami Bomb. I wrote Lemonade, but like most of the time, I generally just convey over what this kind of song feel is. I want every member to contribute that thing and it for be their own. So like Courtney usually handles a lot of the lyric writing nowadays. Kate also writes a bit too. But yeah, Courtney would probably be the most prolific lyric writing. So this is actually unusual.
So this one is an unusual one. And you wrote the lyrics and music on this one? Or I guess what was the process? What do you first remember on this song? Music come first, lyrics come. How did the process happen?
Well, generally speaking, I always want a band. I believe strongly in the band writing together. I remember hearing early on that songwriting worked out as credits for lyrics, melody, and chords, like arrangement. So whoever wrote the song initially, the progression, whoever comes up with the melody of the lyrics and who wrote the lyrics are the people who get the credit. And I was horrified to realize that the drummer doesn't get songwriting credit no matter how important those drums are. They inherently get fucked every time. So I like really bothered me. So Tsunami Bomb has always been a shared songwriting, like no matter who comes up with it. But generally speaking, I've probably written the most Tsunami Bomb songs. I'm not the only one. Andy writes a lot of really amazing songs. Our guitarist now, Andy Pohl. Um, uh, you know, Mike Griffin, who was the Tsunami Bomb guitarist during the time that you would have discovered us. He wrote songs and he had a huge impact. And Gabe has had an incredible impact. Oubliette has written songs. Even on The Ultimate Escape, which she wasn't on, she helped write a lot of those songs, even though by the time it was recorded, her keyboard parts became guitar. So it's really important to me for it to be collaborative. And most of the time, what I try and do is when I try to write on the bass, and I write on the bass guitar this song structure. And it's important to me that I hear the hook, I hear the feel of that song early. Because if I can hear it by myself without anything else on it, then no matter what they do, I've kind of guided their hand into making it still going to be good no matter what they do. And I can trust them to do whatever because I've already created this structure they can't escape that is strong and it carries through. So like a lot of the Tsunami Bomb songs, the bass is very driving as a very driving element of the song because I've written it and I've tried to allow more room because I realized back in the day I would do these crazy like runs, like and because I was trying to be Matt Freeman and Hunter Bergen and Chris number 2, these incredibly incredible bass runs. And but then I realized when I was doing that, I have a keyboard and I have a guitarist and I have a singer and I have all this stuff going on. So I was like, I tried to make a little more room for everybody now. But so I always try to make sure that there's a feel to the song. Um, Even though the songs are not about this, when I wrote most of the songs on The Spine That Binds, it's really the story of my divorce because I was having so all of the mood that inspired that would inspire like Sinkhole or Petaluma or Naysayers, even though those are not the things that I was thinking of. I wasn't thinking about the return of Tsunami Bomb. I wasn't thinking about how the city somebody lives in sucks or that everybody nobody believes in us. I wasn't trying to send any particular message. I was trying to capture all the feelings. My contributions to this album was all based around how I felt in the wake of my relationship ending, my marriage ending, and the divorce that I went through. Because as Tsunami Bomb started, my marriage fell apart. It went, just timing wise. So I kind of just threw myself into the songwriting of this album. Like even songs that were cut and we haven't used, were coming out of that time. And it was pretty dark for me. And so, but I was also trying to capture the definitive act and a lot of the old things, but still move it forward. I didn't want to redo stuff. So when it came to Dead Men Can't Catcall, initially I was really thinking about, how I wanted a song that would capture the feelings that 3 Days and 1,000 Nights had. I wanted something that had kind of the darkness of invasion from within without being that, but I wanted it to be more creepy. I wanted it to feel more eerie and heavy, and I wanted it sort of to build. And I knew that I wanted a chorus that kind of just gave this sort of release, this sort of angry, like, fuck you, because it was kind of how I felt. Literally going through this relationship. It was mostly depression, but then you have these moments of like, no, fuck this, fuck, no, I don't want to be anywhere. You're like, oh yeah, this is probably for a good thing because this is a good thing because this is terrible and I don't want to be here. But then then you go back to like, but like everything's falling apart and I miss them. So I had this all the songs have that I do always have an emotional reference to me, and sometimes the singers will take it from me and it'll inspire them. Sometimes just the hearing of the song and feeling that emotion. And I found that almost every time, no matter what band I'm in, if I try not to tell them where I'm coming from, but they'll pick up on the same attitude. So even if the subject matter of the lyrics isn't the emotional subject matter that I put into the music itself, it still carries over. So if it's a defiant tone, it's a defiant tone. If it's it's angry. If it's feeling creepy and, dark or angry and fast, like it carries through. So I've always enjoyed that, and it's important to me to let everybody go. But this had been a point where things had kind of slowed down to a crawl. Like nothing was kind of happening. We were kind of waiting on Kate and Oubliette to like work out more lyrics and put some more stuff down, on a bunch of demos. And I was just sitting on this one, and everybody seemed to like it because, like I said, it had this winding. I wanted it to kind of feel piratey and kind of feel, like I said, I wanted to evolve these emotions into the tone of the song. But then nobody was doing anything with it. So I was trying to think about like what could I do here? And I remember at the time I had seen a patch that said or I saw a patch or a sticker somebody I knew made or somebody had, and it said "Dead men can't catcall" or on it. I think it was literally that phrase or something very similar to that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's kind of cool. I really love that. I love that phrase.
Yeah.
And it's like, I, it's a good reminder because it's like, I was just, I had, I, I've had, I had once had a situation where I was the target of a false accusation and it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare experience. And you know, since that happened and since that had occurred, a lot of people, especially in music, will be like, you know, will tell me stories and they'll assume that I won't, that I have this, like, that I wouldn't believe somebody's, you know, a victim or something, that I would be jaded and immediately accept that everybody's lying, you know, or something,
Mm-hmm.
or be hesitant to believe. But it couldn't be more of the opposite, because while I had this terrible experience personally that was a nightmare, you know, where somebody claims something of you and you are helpless to prove otherwise. And but at the same time, every woman in my life has been sexually assaulted at some point in their life. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say every, but almost everyone. And it's just, and you know, in the band and in my even my relationship, it's like a situation where in certain places, if I walk away from them even for a moment, they're catcalled like that, or people will start approaching them out of nowhere, you know, and then I walk back and everybody's gone and nobody does it when I'm around. And you know, and it's like I had thought about that, and I thought about, you know, it's just some things that have been happening. There's some stuff that had happened to a friend of mine recently, you know, and I was like, you know, I liked the pirate aspect of dead men. You know, the dead men tell no tales, but dead men can't catcall. It was both kind of this
Yeah.
piratey feeling, but then it also felt like this kind of enabling call to arms. And I was just sort of, I was like, how could I capture that? So I had this sort of moment of like, well, nobody else is writing lyrics, so I'm gonna try and write these lyrics. And
Yeah.
I penned them up and I kind of worked it out. And I immediately thought I was like, there's no way anybody's gonna like this. This is dumb. But maybe it gives them an idea. Like maybe they could do
Yeah.
something where they kind of like, you know, and it would be creeping up. And you know, it was originally a little faster than it got recorded. Like when I demoed it, it was faster, and I don't know how it slowed down, but
Mm.
but I think it worked for making it heavier and darker. But then I brought it to the girls,
Yeah.
the women of the band. I call them girls because
Yeah.
I've known one of them since she was 13. But
Okay.
anyway, I brought it to Oubliette and Kate, and I was like, okay, you don't have to like this. I I know this is kind of crazy, but like I had this idea and this concept of how I thought it could sound. Change anything you want, ignore it, but what do you think of this? And then
Yeah.
it shocked me that Oubliette was like, oh, I love this. This is it. Yeah, we'll do this. And I was like, what? I was like, wait,
Oh,
what?
cool. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's
yeah.
it.
'Cause
And
you can feel
so,
the buildup in the song too. And that's so funny that you wrote it because yeah, when I first heard and saw it, like my perspective, I'm thinking, okay, this is, you know, especially coming from a female singer. And yeah, you're right. Like I've always seen, you know, girls get, which growing up and stuff too, it's always like the dumbest thing, catcalling and just how obnoxious, you know, men can be. And
yeah,
this, so there's like a funniness on the title part, but then there's this like real good like middle finger, I think, response. And then when you get into the lyrics, it gets into much, it seems like a much more serious song too. And so did the way you wrote it is just amazing. So did you write it with like the perspective of being someone else as you were writing it then?
yeah,
Partially
I was trying to write for all of the women that I knew. And I mean,
yeah,
that's a very presumptuous place to come from. I understand. Especially like I joked that like I was like, oh, so the most feminist song on the record is from a cis white male
yeah.
who wrote it. But like Ublit was like, I don't care. Like this is, and Kate was the same way. It's like you captured how I feel. Like I couldn't
Mhm.
say it better myself. Like this is perfect. And it really was like my attempt not to pander. It wasn't meant to pander. It was meant to be like I just wanted to express this concept. Like, okay, I wrote Lemonade, and
Yeah.
Lemonade is about my old band. that I did before Tsunami Bomb, and how I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to break away from this. It's all garbage, you know. It's just gotten toxic and it's terrible, and I can't do this anymore. And I'm leaving, and I'm gonna start Tsunami Bomb, and that's the story of the song.
So it's not a breakup. Okay.
Yeah, it is a breakup, but it's
But,
not a
I
breakup
mean,
that people think.
yeah.
It's a breakup from a band.
Yeah.
But like because a woman sings the song or women sing the song, everybody listens to it and goes, "Oh, it's a breakup. It's a girl
Romantic
who's broken up, and it's a romantic relationship, and they broke up and they're gone." And yes, it can be, and it is. It is all those things. This time though, like even when I started, I was like, okay, I really do want to lean in to this. I don't want it to be confusing. I don't want to be murky. Like
Yeah.
to me, this is yes, it's my feeling about this because I've always been like, dude, like who has ever locked down a relationship from catcalling some chick? Like some chick. That's how to say it. But like who has ever like been like, hey, double bubble, you're gorgeous. Come over here. Why don't you come over and sit on my lap? Give me a kiss. Like has that turned into a fucking meaningful relationship for any man ever? Come on. You know, it's like I've even talked to dudes who will be like, well, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. And I was like, or you could just realize they're walking down the street. It's not a club. You can't hang out or strike a conversation. You're just being a dick. Let them go. Like, look at them. Keep it in your head. Let them go. They're not here for you. This is not the place you get to meet them. You know, it's like I've never understood that.
Never
approach.
got it, man.
No, I mean, like, dude, I've seen in my life, I've seen tons of beautiful women I would have loved to talk to and meet, but like walking down the street or going to do something or doing anything or just existing is not an invitation for any of us to come. It's like,
Wait, what's my problem? Why can't I pick up on these social cues? What is my problem? I don't even know why I'm talking. I don't even know why I keep doing this to women. I'm just a sad man. Woo! I hate me too, girl. Hey, I don't have any sisters, so it doesn't occur to me how insanely offensive this is. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Who am I kissing? I have no idea what else to say to you, so I'm gonna get louder. I do this because I'm lonely.
it, you know, is a place and a fucking time.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, you know, after listening and, you know, there's so much I learned. There's so much about a woman's musician experience or being, or women's experience that I learned only from being in Tsunami Bomb. Like I told you, like people wouldn't sign the band because we were a girl band. It didn't matter there were 3 dudes in it. It's like it was a girl band.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter, you know, like some people didn't sign girl bands. Like literally that's how they described it. Like I watched promoters, we started spending all of our extra money not on per diems but on hotels because we'd crash at people's houses and like the promoter would be totally cool. And then we'd hang out and then we'd play the show and then we'd go to their house and there was something about seeing the girls in the band made up and after they played a show and coming off stage, just they was like, I now have these goddesses in my house and now I'm going to be creepy. And some of them would just be like weird and some of them, like you could tell they were trying to shoot their shot, but then other people would be like full on terrible where they'd be like, we should probably share showers or something.
Hey, baby. Are you one of the ones who, like, does it?
Just weird comments. Jeez. And I was just like, this is not working. We are getting hotels from now on. And then we never looked back. Like, even when we would have had $10 per diems, we pooled all of our $50 and got a cheap hotel room because it was safer.
Yeah.
And, you know, all because they wouldn't leave the women in the band alone. You know, so I took all of that I had seen and I didn't want to pander and I didn't want to put words in their mouths. I tried to take literally what people have told me and kind of turn this song into the anthem that I didn't feel like I had heard anywhere else. And, you know, I didn't want to wait for, I don't think that the women in my band would have written it. Because I think they would have felt like that was, they're not usually so deliberate. Like it is, long been a thing with Tsunami Bomb that even Emily would approach it, and it's this. It's I think we still kind of do it. Is where the women don't always lean into it. We have a lot of songs about relationships, but they're always pretty open ended. It could be from a man's perspective or a woman's perspective. It's purposely genderless. It's more about a human experience, and that's intentional because everybody always wants them. We always wanted the most people to feel like they could hear the song and feel like they're in it.
Yeah.
So, a guy could hear Lemonade and be like, yeah, no more shit. This is it. I'm out of here. Fuck you. To any of the songs. Not Forever, Take the Reins, everything.
Yeah.
So they can be too careful. So I didn't feel like they would write that kind of song, know? So I kind of was like, I'm not trying to be presumptuous. I'm not trying to put words in any mouths. I really want to write this song that feels like it captures all these expressions from people from women in my life. And I want to, it's like write the song you feel like isn't there. And I wanted to make this song. So I made it. And thankfully,
well.
I didn't think the girls would like it, but they did. So
that's funny. Yeah, it did well. And I think, again, like you get this nice, strong, like middle finger to it. And yeah, I mean,
thanks.
One of the stupidest things too, I remember what reminded me, I had wasn't really so much a friend, but like a person that used to hang out with, his cat call was literally barking. He would bark at pretty girls. They'd walk by, oh, I'm like, we would always say, if anything, we lost any chances now. So I don't know what is wrong with some people that are out there, dude.
Oh, I've seen so many times, like I've had dumb friends over the years, like ruin chances with girls, like because we had the Phoenix Theater, so there was a place where all the girls were, and like we could talk to and meet and stuff, and like shit like that, like rah, 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 and you're like, what are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen guys just torpedo situations because they don't know what else to do. I think a lot of people forget how awkward everybody is, but it's like, I think the number one thing, I didn't mean to turn this into a man lecture on to men, but I will say, if you're listening to this podcast, like seriously, the number one thing I see dudes do, incels do it the worst, but so many dudes do it.
Yeah.
They forget that women are people. Like, these are people with hopes and dreams and fears. They shit, they fart, they get embarrassed, they're scared, they're excited, they have opinions, they love music, they hate bands, they think bands suck, they hang out, and they have all these things that happen when they're not in front of you. They go home and they live an entire different universe and reality away from you. They're not just here, they are real. You know, it's like, and I feel like a lot of times over the years growing up, like with guys, they forget that. They're like, you'll hear, and you hear it in certain phrases. Like a guy will tell you, like, well, women, they don't like me. Women don't like guys like me. And I was like, yes, that in that meeting they had last month, the women's meeting, they decided, you're out. No,
every single woman in the world.
Like, they don't decide this. It's like, well, women don't play video games, dude. I know a million women that play video games, but like they don't play with you or your games or maybe the ones you're meeting. But like, yeah, they're out there. It's like, and I think that I think we do that to everybody. I think we do it to other men. We forget that in this performance that is our life, people that walk off stage when they're not with us, they are real people they are the star of their own story that exists without you in your universe. Like, I don't know. So I just try and encourage everyone, be a little more gentle. And when you're trying to hit on people, like, I don't know, learn some things about her first.
Yeah, exactly.
I could go off on that, but yeah. So
no worries. And let me read the lyrics now, though. Some of my favorite parts. This is talk about awkwardness. I get to read your lyrics back to you and then kind of ask questions about it. So the first lines, which again, this is the buildup of the song, is what I freaking really, really love. That because once you get into it, anyhow, I can ramble on too. So it starts off with, a chill runs down my spine. You won't look me in the eyes. What do you think you see? What do you want from me?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I guess that paints that picture of the idiot kind of cat call, like that kind of like does the thing, and it kind of, and then again, I'm coming from a female perspective, thinking, yeah, you're kind of getting harassed and stuff, and like, what do you actually think is going to happen? Is that kind of that where that came from, or what did you mean more by that?
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to create the scene of like that thing of like, dude, that guy is staring at me, but not at me, not looking at me, but looking at me, and like I don't know what's going on. Like, what the fuck does he want? Like, why is he following me? Like, why is
Yeah,
he looking at me? Like this. I wanted to try and capture with that intro, like, and the keyboard when Ugly put that in, she just nailed it, and the delivery that Kate gave was, I thought, was really dead
yeah.
on. It was just like really helped create that, like they got it, like I mean immediately, like that's why they wanted to use it. They were like, yes, this is what we want to do. And you know, it's just like you're now walking into a situation, all of a sudden you're happy, you're walking along, and now you're like, wait, this isn't cool at all. Uh-oh.
Yeah, very creepy. Yeah, you get that setup, which I love. And yeah, and like to your point, vocals were so fucking great on this song too.
Thank you.
Um,
I'll tell Kate you said that, Jill,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
So then next stanza here goes, don't sit there lying to me, telling me you understand. Your actions tell me exactly where you really stand. There was nothing subtle in your gaze. We talked about, I think, no innocence in the way you would not leave me alone. Let's make this loud and clear. No misunderstanding here. I will not be afraid. This is where that middle finger, I kind of feel like kind of comes in, which I love because, like you said, I don't want to say like it's like which makes sense now. It almost feels like there's that little bit of like a masculine touch to it. Probably wrong term to use for that, but the meaning of this fight back, which is nice to see. Like it's actually gonna like she's not gonna this chick, this person's not gonna actually take it, which is what it feels like it sets up for it. So tell me, what do you
I
think?
like how two white guys are talking about female empowerment, and we're like, but we're still like going, like, yeah, this chick, you know, she's ready to stand back.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry that Oubliette couldn't be here because I wanted her to be here to talk about
Hmm.
why she took this song on and why she felt. But
Yeah,
she's expressed to me that basically she took it on because she felt like it just hit the nail on the head. And a lot of our
yeah,
Tsunami Bomb songs are all about us trying to tell people, like, it's growing up isn't as easy as you think. These things aren't just, don't assume this, like, like break away, make a stand, like it's okay to go, no, this is me, I'm going to fight back. There's a lot of
yeah,
those themes in our songs because that's how we feel. And in this, I was kind of trying to encourage right from the get-go, this person is telling you, like, I'm not, this
yeah,
is creepy and this is scary, but fuck this. And
yeah,
I'm kind of like telling anyone who listens, like, tell them to tell them to fuck off. Like, just start. Don't
yeah.
start scared. Get angry. Like, get mad first. Like, be draw the line. Put the boundary. It's okay
Okay.
to be this, and trying to lead the example. It's okay to you don't have to feel like, oh, I got to be careful now. But I mean, truthfully, the reality is they have to be careful because they could die. They could be killed. People turn on them right away. But
Yeah.
this person is just going right now, going, oh no, there's nothing innocent. Because you get a lot of guys like, what was I trying to do? What am I? I'm not trying to do anything. And it's like, no, 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 fuck you.
Yeah. So the lyric of there's no misunderstanding here. That's what I love. And like you said, there's it's very clear that this person, you messed with the wrong person. That's what it feels like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
She's suffering no fools, which is very much to Oubliette and Kate. They suffer no fools. It's true. So it felt very appropriate.
Yeah, yeah. And then the next bit really beds up to where in my mind it sounds like there's like kind of a skirmish going on. So the next
Hmm.
lyric is, "Take your hands off me. I'll never give in. You've already lost. You've lost this. Oh, sorry, you've lost. This is not a game, and I am no one's toy." Which
Hmm.
it feels like there's a skirmish going on, and she's
Well,
now
even
winning.
even with this, like, the amount of women, like, I have a friend who's trans, and I knew them when they were um, not female, when they were
Okay.
male presenting. I mean, I think they were always female in their heart. They just didn't come out, and they didn't know how to come out, and they didn't know how to express that even to me.
Yeah.
But she's tattooed and she's beautiful. Like, I'm kind of happy for my friend that my nerdy friend became a beautiful woman when they wanted to become a woman, and I'm stoked for them. But they're fully tattooed. One of the things she'd always tell me, and all the women I know who are tattooed would tell me, is like, nobody ever comes up and grabs my arm to look at my tattoos. but I have known every girl that has tattoos have told me like guys will come and like twist their arm and like look at stuff or pull them close, and it's just like nobody's ever pulled me close, but I've even seen it, and I thought of that. It also can be an outright interaction of scuffle, but like to me it was just laying hands, and the girl's like, hey, no, I'm not giving in. I'm not your toy,
What
you
the
know.
fuck?
Like,
Why would someone think it's okay to go up and just grab someone?
dude,
And look
ask
at
your
their-
friends. Ask the girls you know who have tattoos. I guarantee if they go to shows or they've done anything, they'll tell you. Like, dudes will come and grab them and look at that. Like, just to look at it. You know, people will take liberties they wouldn't take with you or I because we're like big guys. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But they will for a girl. They'll do that to a girl. And, you know, I was shocked when I heard that. And then I saw it one time and I was like, hey, you know. And then, you know, me saying, hey, they're like, oh, you know, and it's like, don't mean to put my hands on your girl.
Quiet. I like I'm a
Yeah, and
tattoo
it's just
enthusiast.
like, I know, he's from New York in that incident. Hey, whatever, you know. But like, I mean, at the same time, like, it's the first thing everybody's like, what? I'm not doing nothing. And it's like, I just want to see a tattoo. And it's like, calm down.
Yeah, you can't touch someone. Ask,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that came kind of from that part too, but also much more scary, you know, when somebody grabs you. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, if someone touched, geez, yeah, exactly.
It can
can't.
it can turn scary real fast, you know.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Which, all right, let me get to this next one. So then it goes into you never even asked my name. You think you know who I am or who am I? No, you don't. That's a lie. You think you know who am I? No, you don't. That's a lie. I won't hang my head anymore. So I guess on that last little bit, what does that part mean? The hanging the head, and I guess what's
Well, it's, you know, it's funny. There's this passage I was really stressed about because I thought it was a little clumsy, and I think that Courtney did put a little bit of editing around a couple things. I think my version was even clumsier, but it was very similar to this. But I felt like it was so you were following this weird line of reasoning of like you think you know who am I? No, you don't. That's a lie. And it's like, you know, it's like this kind of rush of different impasses that I felt like I was worried would be clumsy. This is one of the reasons why I was surprised they took it on. But like, I won't hang my head anymore. Like like so many girls have and women have told, so many women have told me, sorry, so many women have told me that, you know, like they've had to just sit there and take it. They had to be nice and smile. They had to sit there and just be like, yeah, thanks, okay, cool, just to diffuse the amount of times I've heard how we as men can cause a woman to be uncomfortable because she doesn't want the confrontation and she's worried about what we'll do next. So how often we have had a woman sit there and talk to us and entertain, clearly uncomfortable. If you can't pick up on, if you're a dude and you don't pick up on nuance or social cues, you miss it completely. And it's just like the amount of times women have to just kind of roll with it and take it because what we do, it's rough. And I mean, I say we because even as nice guys, I guarantee you, we both made women uncomfortable at some point in our life. Not meaning to, but we did.
like you said, it could be stuff you just don't pick up on, and it's just
Came in a little strong, you're flirting too hard, you're trying to talk up somebody, you're a little drunk, you don't know. I don't know, there's a million different reasons that can cause that situation. But I won't hang my head up anymore is kind of referencing that. How many times hang my head anymore is how many times they have to hang their head and put up with it and deal with it just so you don't get scary and mad and call them a fucking bitch for being shitty, not wanting to talk to you. And it's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, not all men, sure, but like all of us do this. We just do it. We don't know that we do it, you know, and we make people uncomfortable and we all need to know it. So like I love that you like this song and I love that you keyed into it. But anyway, I know you got to get through it, but like it's exactly more than I could have ever hoped for that another guy, a punk rock guy would hear this song and be like, I love this. I love it what it's saying. And I'm so glad that you heard it. I'm sorry it wasn't one of the women who put it together. They're really talented. They do amazing stuff. But it meant a lot to me that they did it, and I'm glad you got
it adds more to it, which just makes it more interesting too. And just before I go on to, I think that one thing that's important about this, and the song helps bring it out, is how privileged I think we are sometimes as just like men, that we don't have to go through being nervous, like in just everyday things, like like you were saying, not afraid that someone's going to get mad for how you like. I would never really. Sometimes maybe here or there, I might try to say things nicer to not hurt someone's feelings. But the fact that women go through that so much more and such a more, you know,
Hey,
uh,
hey, when you
you
go to a
know,
show, do you think about the outfit you're gonna wear? And you think about how far you gotta walk by yourself? Do you think about leaving
no,
that show or
no,
who you're gonna run into? No, you don't. I don't.
no,
But you know who does?
women.
Oubliette and Kate, your
Yeah,
girlfriend, your friends that are women. They do. They have to. And you know, we can all of us guys can be like, ah, yeah,
yeah,
well, okay. I mean, not everybody's like that. It's like, I think we all are.
yeah.
We're
There
all
were times
scared.
that
There's a
what I
reason they all want the bear.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
reason they picked the bear. That's why. Because
yeah.
the bear might not attack, but a dude will definitely bug him.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, I remember my wife one time parked really far away. I had to meet her at one place. And I was like, "Why the hell did you park?" Well, it's light. And I was like, "Who
It's
the
light.
fuck cares?" Like, just it's so much longer of a walk this way. But then yeah, again, you have to like check yourself and be like, "Okay, this is safer, right?" Like,
I've seen
yeah,
girls who put their keys in their fists, like so they can scratch that. Like, and I mean, you're like, oh, I never even thought about that. It
yeah.
never even occurred to me to be worried about that. Anyway, I know you got to get through
Thank
it.
you, man. Okay, so then yeah, the next bit, and this is where this, and again, the lead up of the song is just so amazing, done so well. This isn't the last of you and me. I was stripped of my identity. Now you will know your place. See how it feels to be the one without a face, and I won't give up the chase. Like that there, that line right there is just so fucking done so well, man. So how did you write that, and like where the, how
I
that?
think Oubliette had
Mhm.
a lot of impact in this section. This was a
Yeah.
lot of her coming in and like, let me, because I don't know. I mean, I like the place and face though. That does feel a little deliberate. It feels a little obvious, like me. But I think that it was roughly this, and I think she dialed it in. But it was really, this is where it turns, and she's now after them.
Yeah.
And you know, it's gone from her, like she's like decided, I'm not gonna hang my head up anymore, and like, okay, this is not it. Now you can't leave. Now I'm on your ass. Now I'm gonna, you know, now I've lost my shit. You
Yeah.
pushed me over the fucking I'm over the bear. I'm over the falls. We're done. This is, you know, I'm locking the door. Now you can't leave. Oh, you think you're gonna get away? I'm now chasing you, and now you don't. It doesn't matter who you are or who you are elsewhere. You, all you are is now, and you don't matter. You know, it's like, how does it feel to be the one without a face? Like, you don't matter. You just, no face matters. You're just looking at the body. Now I'm going to fucking kill you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm coming after you. And, you know, she's lost all of her identity. None of that matters. It's all out the door. So now she's going to put you in your place. And she's snapping at this section of the song.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it kind of ends there. Well, it has the chorus again, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what I loved about it too, because like it really brings you in. First of all, the title catches me. It has that great kind of like, I call it Halloween, forgive me, but you know,
No, it's
that kind
fine.
of dark kind of like thing you get into it, and it becomes a very real song. And then you kind of hear it like, yeah, then this time, you know, and I keep wanting to say she or person, you know, keeps, you know, this time they're not gonna they stand their ground, turns into a scuffle, and then they win. Because the victory's on them, and that's why the ending, and that's why I really like the tempo, which is funny you brought that up, that you said it was slower than you anticipate, because I think starting off kind of slow, and then that build up, it gets much faster and faster. And then you hear the background vocals too, like the vocals were just done very, very awesome. And song's punk rock, man. It kicks ass.
Thanks. I love that you love. I thank you. I mean, you know, and also when you look at this technically could be a fight. You know, I mean, it becomes leads into it, but if you take everything away out of this could easily be somebody who gets gets gets
Yeah.
attacked, you know,
Yeah.
and so it does work with that, but this is a more deliberate song than we usually do, more deliberately saying like the title is telling you like this is what we're talking about and this is
Yeah.
it. Like, and so like I said, I don't feel like Oubliette or Kate would have written this outright because it's a little too deliberately this thing. And but it was glad when they read it and they're like, this is it.
Let's
This is
do
how
it.
I feel. I feel
Yeah.
like this all the time. This is what I want to sing this song. And I was surprised, but later I realized it made more sense. And you know, it is that build up to finally snapping and breaking, and then the chorus is returning to the thing, to the statement. You know, take your hands off me. You know, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna give in. You know, it's like you've already
Yeah.
lost. It's over. I'm not. I'm not going with you. I'm not giving in. And sometimes I think we have to. The last thing I'll say about it is like sometimes I think we have to remember that when bad things happen, we don't always get to choose when those bad things happen. We don't always get to choose when something turns scary or turns in a way. But like, what are you going to do in that moment? It's like, are you going to placate your way through it and try and survive this moment, or are you going to just, go crazy and rise to meet it, regardless of what could potentially happen, because you're screwed either way. It's the same kind of concept of like how you get some people who have somebody rush in on them and go like, "You're coming with me. I'm going to tie you up and take you away," and somebody meekly goes because they're hoping they'll survive through this, or they go, "Oh, I'm going to go crazy," and they throw everything at them and chase the person away and freak them out because they're going crazy.
Yeah.
But yes, there's the person in this song. If you do this, if you follow this path in a situation like this, you are risking yourself. But are you not risking yourself already by the person who is coming here and you trying to, it's like it's tough. The one masculine thing I think that is in this song is the presumption that you can always stand up to those coming at you, whereas I think any woman listening, not to speak for them, I would think could say, that's great, I love that. Doesn't always work like that in real life, because sometimes
Yeah.
I have to do whatever I can to survive the situation because it's really getting scary. And I think that presumption that I put in the song, the tell that it might be a man writing this song, is that the presumption is you can fight it, because we would presume to fight it. If somebody
Yeah.
put you or I in this position, we would fight it. We would we would this would be us. We'd be like, "Oh no, fuck it. You're fucked, man. Let's go." But that's not the reality. That's not a
Yeah.
reality for somebody who has to think about what they're wearing to a show. Is it cute and great, and do I feel good in it? But also, is it safe? Am I going to be okay? Can I run? Can I run in this? What am I going to do if I have to run? What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if someone comes at me? How safe am I? How far is it? It's like all these considerations we don't take. So that, I would say, that might be the flaw in this song, is that it's the same thing that makes you love it and it made Oubliette and Kate love it, is because it's a call to arms for somebody who is feeling like they have no voice in a situation developing. But the reality is, it's easy to sit here and be like, dude, just tell them to fuck off. But that's
Yeah.
not the reality. That's a presumption. And I do admit that this song has it. But how else do you write an anthem that tells people, tell everyone to fuck off
Fuck
without
off. Yeah,
presuming a bit?
that stand your ground type of feel. And you're right. Like there's kind of, in my mind as we're talking about it, it's kind of that like standing up to a bully, and which works in high school and stuff like this, especially as a dude to another, dude a lot of times. But if you can't fight it, women a lot of times have to think about, yeah, infiltrating, escape, stuff like this, right? So
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want anyone listening to this and listening to this conversation, especially a woman, but any man that has been in a bad situation, to listen to this and think, yeah, I didn't stand up for myself in that situation, so I'm less than, I'm not this kind of person. No, no. At any time, you can draw a line in the sand for yourself that you feel is appropriate for the and safe for you, and don't feel bad if you didn't. This is a song.
Yeah.
This is an idealized anthemic song to stand your ground and not put up with this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it was written by a dude that has never had to put up with this kind of shit. So there's a presumption, but I'm glad that people have listened to it, and we've gotten a lot of compliments on it, and I'm glad that people have heard it and really taken it to heart. But I don't want anyone listening to think that I'm not aware that there isn't a time where this is not possible, because it'll
Yeah,
result
yeah.
in you getting killed or
Right,
hurt.
right, exactly. And I think that's the beauty of the music part of it, right? The theater, the therapy of it, to where you get to have this imagery, and in this song, you stand up and you can fight back and kick their ass and do this, because a lot of times that may not happen, right? So, but that's what's nice about the song, is that this theater of it, you get to do
Yeah.
it. That's what's beauty about
Well,
music. You get to write that scenario.
my favorite songs, some of the things that I've written, and this is included, I didn't mention this, is that like sometimes I approach songs as if they're a musical. This is a
Oh,
moment.
okay.
in a musical. Like Lemonade
Yeah.
was 100% written to be a musical. This is a moment. This is a moment in time where this character is going through this situation, and it is a dramatized. It could, you know what I mean? There's a musical theatrical aspect. There's a story here. It's being told. There's a rush of emotions as this person comes to a decision for herself in this moment to out crazy this person, to scare them away, to fight them back, and to go down fighting if she has to. But I also, like I said, but I realize that is not always realistic, but that is the thematic approach of this song. It is a moment, think of it as a moment in a play and a musical.
The show part,
yeah, this is the story that's happening. So it was really, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of songs on this album that I wrote meaning into, that the emotion, the grief, the anger, the defiance, or the you know, carried over with a different topic. But this was the one standout on the album that is, it ended up being, while there is a bit of me going through grief and then kind of a fuck you, it
You
does
get
mean
the
what it
middle
says it
finger
means.
in
Yeah.
this song for sure, man.
Yeah, it means what it says it means. And it's
All right, I am pressed on that. I gotta pick up my son from school, so I'm sorry. I would love to go on further, but
Nope.
thank you so much for your time and patience in doing this. And I would love to do another song with you in the future. Yeah.
I would love that anytime. And yeah, and I'd love to get the Kate and
That'd be
Ublia
so
here.
cool.
They have a lot to express, and there's a lot of songs that they would be able to unlock for you as well. And yeah, this has been fantastic. Thank you for having me, and thank you for enjoying the band, and thank you for hearing this song. Because I think maybe it's more important. It's almost more important that men hear the song and read it and actually hear what it's saying, because I don't think we consider this. Even the good dudes don't consider this,
It
because
really
you don't
helps the
have to deal
perspective
with
on
it.
it.
We will never. You will likely not have to deal with that kind of feeling. So if this makes you understand it just a little bit, that's awesome, because this is me trying to understand it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you again. Tsunami Bomb is one of the best bands. One of my favorites growing up. Really shaped me, man. So thank you again for everything.
Thank you so much. It's so great meeting you, and have a good one.
All right. Have a good one.